In July, flood number 1 and flood number 2 of the Yangtze River came one after the other. Since July 17th, the inflow rate of the Three Gorges Reservoir has increased significantly. According to official statistics, on July 20th, the storage level of the Three Gorges Dam reached the highest of the year, at 164.51 meters, exceeding the flood control limit by 19.49 meters. The Three Gorges Dam has opened 7 floodgates to release floodwater. At a flow rate of 40,000 cubic meters per second, it has led to more than 1,771 kilometers of riverbanks downstream to exceed their warning water level. Some tributaries in the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze River, including the Huai River in Jiangsu Province, Kaohou Lake in Anhui Province, and Taihu Lake in Jiangsu Province, had their water levels break their historical highs. Since July 17th, the water level in the Yichang section of the Yangtze River, which is the nearest to the Three Gorges Dam, has exceeded 50 meters. By July 21st, the water level in the Yichang section reached 51.63 meters, and the floodwater was passing through Yichang at an overwhelming level. The high intensity of the Three Gorges Dam flooding has made it worse for the already distressed Jiangxi province, and the water level of Poyang Lake in Jiangxi has reached a historical high as the area of the lake continues to expand. Located downstream on the Yangtze River, the flood situation in Anhui is the most severe. Due to the incoming water from the upper reaches of the Yangtze River, all the main streams of the Yangtze River in the Anhui area exceeded their warning level. In addition, in another large river in Anhui, a flood has been formed and numbered as the No.1 flood on the Huai River on July 19th. There was a rise in water level of the Huai River's main streams and tributaries, and all the main streams experienced an alarming amount of flooding. As of the 20th, 37 rivers and lakes in Anhui, including the main stem of the Yangtze River and Huai River, have exceeded their warning levels. 22 rivers and lakes, including the Huai River, have exceeded their guaranteed water levels, and 603 reservoirs have exceeded their flood limits. It has always been a habit of the Chinese Communist government to protect cities at the expense of rural areas, and to protect large metropolises at the expense of smaller cities. As a result, Anhui Province, which is economically underdeveloped, bears the responsibility of protecting large downstream cities, such as Nanjing and Shanghai, making it one of the provinces to be sacrificed. According to photos from Chinese social media, Weibo, on the 18th, Anhui Province's Jinzhai County's urban area has been extensively flooded. Chinese media, The Paper, said in the afternoon that in some areas of Jinzhai County, the deepest part of the water was more than 2 meters deep, with some vehicles completely submerged. Located in central Anhui Province at the lower Yangtze River, Wuwei City had several of its polders burst on July 19th. The city of Wuwei has a total of 2,022 square kilometers and a population of 121.5 million people. Mainly to protect the Yangtze River embankment, officials urgently announced in the afternoon that everyone below the polder must immediately evacuate. The officials also told the locals that they just have to leave it to fate. On July 20th, the water level had reached 29.75 meters at the Yangtze Dam Fuyang located at the Huai River in Anhui Province. As a result, the dam opened its floodgates to discharge floodwaters, forcing 2,000 people to leave their homes. As a result of the emergency evacuation, people only cared about saving their lives and were not able to grab any belongings, leading to heavy financial losses. Due to the nearby riverbank collapse in Anhui Province's Guzhen town, more than 10,000 residents were trapped in their homes with water and electricity cut off, and many buildings on the first floor were almost completely submerged. Officials have transferred more than 2,000 people to emergency relocation centers, but there are still more than 10,000 people remaining in distress. In the past 2 days, the water level on the Nanjing section of the Yangtze River continued to hit record highs, and on July 21st, the water level was as high as 10.38 meters, 1.68 meters above the warning line. According to the latest forecast by the Yangtze Bureau of Hydrology, a major flood is forming in the upper reaches of the Yangtze River, and the Three Gorges Reservoir may usher in a new round of flooding around July 21st, with peak flows approaching 70,000 cubic meters per second. On July 21st, China's Ministry of Emergency Management said in an official message that it had sent 1,500 firefighters into Anhui to combat the disaster and rescued 2,976 people who were trapped. The Emergency Management Ministry and the State Grain Storage Bureau for Anhui have allocated the third batch of flood relief supplies, including 3 million woven bags, 10 water pumping stations, and 30,000 life jackets. In the face of such a serious and extensive range of flooding, the amount of disaster relief provided appears to be a drop in the bucket. So far, only a handful of residents have been relocated. The government has not provided any economic relief for the victims, and there have been no words of whether residents will be compensated for their losses. There are still tens of millions of people living below the poverty line in China, and many of them cannot even have their basic needs met. Even in the event of a disaster, there's little relief available, yet officials at all government levels are privileged and have amassed enormous wealth. The Chinese Communist Party has a system that provides privileges to officials and creates conditions for corruption. Usually, officials are stripped of power as a result of factional fighting. Otherwise, no amount of corruption would be investigated, and much of the corruption goes unscrutinized. The most recent event was when a hidden $400 million in cash was found in the former head of Shanxi Province's Financial Supervision Administration, Jing Huai's home. The CCP's billion-dollar corrupt officials club has reached 46 people since 2012. The 2014 investigation and prosecution of the former Standing Committee member of the Communist Party's Politburo, Zhao Yongkang, was the largest corruption case in Chinese history. Authorities have confiscated assets worth at least 90 billion won, 12 billion USD, including 51 billion won, 7 billion USD, in Chinese and foreign bonds. Guo Baxiang, a former vice chairman of the Communist Party's military commission, was involved in an even more frightening case, with tens of billions of won in tribute from senior officials alone, and no less than hundreds of billions of won in revenues from the sale of government positions and land. While many Chinese people live in poverty, their children cannot afford to go to school. There is no guarantee of medical care and other prominent social problems. The CCP spends a lot of money externally, regardless of the lives of their own people. From 1949 to 1998, the CCP's foreign aid totaled 160 billion USD. Under the administration of former President Hu Jintao and former Premier Wen Jiabao, foreign aid amounted to 80 billion USD in a 10-year period. Xi Jinping has also announced 340 billion USD in foreign aid in 6 years. Scholars at Johns Hopkins University found that from 2000 to 2017, the Communist Party provided 143 billion in loans to African countries. Researchers at Boston University also found that the CCP has lent more than 140 billion to Latin America and the Caribbean since 2005. The Chinese Communist Party's spreading of money abroad is hard to understand, as it gives money to poor and small countries which have quite high stakes. Even when the CCP knows that it will suffer heavy financial losses, it still provides money to these countries. This is because foreign aid has always been a key tool in China's foreign policy, a primary scheme to win political support. According to independent research provided by Rhodium Group, the CCP spends money mainly to buy countries' support, and debt relief is often a way to improve bilateral relations. Even the smallest country is a member of the United Nations and has a seat at the voting table. By giving money to these countries, the CCP can dictate to them what to do. When international organizations need to vote on certain issues, these countries have to speak for the CCP and side with the Chinese government. The ultimate goal of the Chinese Communist Party's foreign aid is to realize its ambition for global infiltration and domination.